Module 4, Identity and Access Management, Set 1. Identification, Authentication, Authorization, and Accounting, AAA. Authentication, Authorization, and Accounting, AAA, is a term for a framework for intelligently controlling access to computer resources, enforcing policies, auditing usage, and providing the information necessary to bill for services. Authentication. Authentication is the act of proving an assertion, such as the identity of a computer system user. Authorization. Authorization is the function of specifying access rights/privileges to resources, which is related to general information security and computer security, and to access control in particular. Examples of consumers are computer users, computer software, and other hardware on the computer. Accounting. Accounting or accountancy is the measurement, processing, and communication of financial and non-financial information about economic entities such as businesses and corporations. Accounting information systems are designed to support accounting functions and related activities. Multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication, MFA, encompassing two-factor authentication or 2FA, along with similar terms, is an electronic authentication method in which a device user is granted access to a website or application only after successfully presenting two or more pieces of evidence, or factors, to an authentication. Something you have. Computing is any goal-oriented activity requiring, benefiting from, or creating computing machinery. It includes the study and experimentation of algorithmic processes and development of both hardware and software. Something you know. Computing is any goal-oriented activity requiring, benefiting from, or creating computing machinery. It includes the study and experimentation of algorithmic processes and development of both hardware and software. Federation. A federation is a group of computing or network providers agreeing upon standards of operation in a collective fashion. The term may be used when describing the interoperation of two distinct, formally disconnected, telecommunications networks that may have different internal structures. Single sign-on. Single sign-on, SSO, is an authentication scheme that allows a user to log in with a single ID and password to any of several related, yet independent, software systems. Transitive trust. Transitive trust. A trust that can extend beyond two domains to other trusted domains in the forest. Intransitive trust. A one-way trust that does not extend beyond two domains. Explicit trust. LDAP, Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. The Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, LDAP, is an open, vendor-neutral, industry-standard application protocol for accessing and maintaining distributed directory information services over an Internet Protocol, IP, network. Kerberos. Kerberos is a computer network authentication protocol that works on the basis of tickets to allow nodes communicating over a non-secure network to prove their identity to one another in a secure manner. Kerberos protocol messages are protected against eavesdropping and replay attacks. TACACS Plus, Terminal Access Controller Access Control System. Terminal Access Controller Access Control System, TACACS, refers to a family of related protocols handling remote authentication and related services for networked access control through a centralized server. CHAP, Challenge Handshake Authentication Protocol. In computing, the Challenge Handshake Authentication Protocol, CHAP, authenticates a user or network host to an authenticating entity. That entity may be, for example, an Internet Service Provider. PAP, Password Authentication Protocol. Password Authentication Protocol, PAP, is a password-based authentication protocol used by point-to-point protocol, PPP, to validate users. Almost all network operating system remote servers support PAP. PAP is specified in RFC 1334. MS-CHAP, Microsoft CHAP. MS-CHAP is the Microsoft version of the Challenge Handshake Authentication Protocol, CHAP, provides an authenticator-controlled password change mechanism. Provides an authenticator-controlled authentication retry mechanism. Defines failure codes returned in the failure packet message field. Radius, Remote Authentication and Dial-in User Service. Remote Authentication Dial-in User Service, Radius, is a client/server protocol and software that enables remote access servers to communicate with a central server to authenticate dial-in users and authorize their access to the requested system or service. SAML, Security Association Markup Language. Security Assertion Markup Language, SAML, pronounced SAML, is an open standard for exchanging authentication and authorization data between parties, in particular, between an identity provider and a service provider. SAML is also a set of XML-based protocol messages. A set of protocol message bindings. OpenID Connect. OpenID Connect is a simple identity layer on top of the OAuth 2.0 protocol, which allows computing clients to verify the identity of an end user based on the authentication performed by an authorization server, as well as to obtain basic profile information about the end user in an interoperable and REST-like manner. OAuth, Open Standard for Authorization. OAuth is an open standard for access delegation, commonly used as a way for Internet users to grant websites or applications access to their information on other websites but without giving them the passwords. OAuth is a service that is complementary to and distinct from OpenID. Shibboleth. Shibboleth is a single sign-on login system for computer networks and the Internet. It allows people to sign in using just one identity to various systems run by federations of different organizations or institutions. Secure Token. A security token is a peripheral device used to gain access to an electronically restricted resource. The token is used in addition to or in place of a password. It acts like an electronic key to access something. NTLM, New Technology LAN Manager. Windows New Technology LAN Manager, NTLM, is an outmoded challenge response authentication protocol from Microsoft. Still in use though succeeded by Kerberos, NTLM is a form of single sign-on, SSO, enabling users to authenticate to applications without submitting the underlying password. MAC, Mandatory Access Control. In computer security, a mandatory access control, MAC, means a type of access control by which the operating system changes the way a subject, e.g. a user or a program, can access or do some sort of action on an object, e.g. a file or folder. DAC, Discretionary Access Control. In computer security, Discretionary Access Control, DAC, is a type of access control defined by the Trusted Computer System Evaluation criteria as a means of restricting access to objects based on the identity of subjects and/or groups to which they belong. ACL, Access Control List. In computer security, an access control list, ACL, is a list of permissions associated with a system resource, object. An ACL specifies which users or system processes are granted access to objects, as well as what operations are allowed on given objects. ABAC, Attribute-Based Access Control. Attribute-Based Access Control or ABAC is a model which evolves from RBAC to consider additional attributes in addition to roles and groups. In ABAC, it is possible to use attributes of the user, e.g. citizenship, clearance, the resource, e.g. classification, department, owner, the action, and role-based access control. In computer system security, role-based access control, RBAC, or role-based security is an approach to restricting system access to authorized users. RBAC can be used to facilitate administration of security in large organizations with hundreds of users and thousands of permissions. Rule-based access control. In computer system security, role-based access control, RBAC, or role-based security is an approach to restricting system access to authorized users. RBAC can be used to facilitate administration of security in large organizations with hundreds of users and thousands of permissions. Physical access control. In the fields of physical security and information security, access control, AC, is the selective restriction of access to a place or other resource, while access management describes the process. The act of accessing may mean consuming, entering, or using. Permission to access a resource is called authorization. Smart cards. A smart card, chip card, or integrated circuit card, ICC or IC card, is a physical electronic authorization device, used to control access to a resource. Smart cards can provide personal identification, authentication, data storage, and application processing. Biometric factors. Biometrics are body measurements and calculations related to human characteristics. Biometrics authentication, or realistic authentication, is used in computer science as a form of identification and access control. Biometric identifiers are often categorized as physiological versus behavioral characteristics. Fingerprint scanner. Fingerprint scanners are security systems of biometrics. They are used in police stations, security industries, smartphones, and other mobile devices. Retinal scanner. Retinal scanning is a different, ocular-based biometric technology that uses the unique patterns on a person's retina blood vessels and is often confused with iris recognition. Iris scanner. Iris recognition is an automated method of biometric identification that uses mathematical pattern recognition techniques on video images of one or both of the irises of an individual's eyes, whose complex patterns are unique, stable, and can be seen from some distance. Voice recognition. It is also known as automatic speech recognition, ASR, computer speech recognition or speech-to-text, STT. The term voice recognition or speaker identification refers to identifying the speaker, rather than what they are saying. Facial recognition. A facial recognition system is a technology capable of matching a human face from a digital image or a video frame against a database of faces, typically employed to authenticate users through ID verification services, works by pinpointing and measuring facial features from a given image. False acceptance rate, FAR. False match rate, FMR, also called FAR, equals false accept rate, the probability that the system incorrectly matches the input pattern to a non-matching template in the database. It measures the percent of invalid inputs that are incorrectly accepted. False rejection rate, FRR. False non-match rate, FNMR, also called FRR, equals false reject rate, the probability that the system fails to detect a match between the input pattern and a matching template in the database. It measures the percent of valid inputs that are incorrectly rejected. Crossover error rate, CER. Equal error rate or crossover error rate, EER or CER, the rate at which both acceptance and rejection errors are equal. Tokens. Computing. Token, an object, in software or in hardware, which represents the right to perform some operation. Token, an object used in Petri net theory. Access token, a system object representing the subject of access control operations.